Well, hey, everybody. Okay. I feel like I had some more music going on there. Oh my gosh. Okay. I think. Oh, I know what it was. I have another browser open. I'm on a new computer today. So, hey, how's everybody doing today? I had a little delay in my earbud. We always have a glitch. That's why we call my shows a glitch in the matrix, y'all, if you have not already noticed. And today is no different. But today, gosh, y'all, we're going to have a fantastic show today. Once again, I have my good friend Brice here in the studio with us, and I cannot wait to get this show on the road. We're going to be talking about something that is a little controversial, but it's also something that she and I both have experienced in our adventures out in the field and out hiking and things like that. Brice is with Esoteric Atlanta. If you guys have not subscribed to Esoteric Atlanta on YouTube, you guys are missing out. So please go over there and do that today. And yeah, she's got some fantastic videos. She and I have had some adventures together, actually. We'll talk about those today. And yeah, I hope you guys had a wonderful weekend. Man, we had a great show this weekend on Saturday night with Neil with BigfootTalk.com. What a great, fantastic show. He actually has a property in Georgia where he lives amongst the Bigfoots. Okay, so the Bigfoots live amongst him, actually. And so he told us all the inside information about what they eat, what they poop. If y'all missed that, please go back. Gosh, that was a great show. And I was actually kind of shocked that we went there on that one. And I was super excited because I, of all people, wonder about their poop. I do. And so he gave us the lowdown on it and exactly what their diet consists of and the gifts they've given and how they solve puzzles that he leaves out and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, great stuff. I mean, that's the real deal. Okay. That's the real deal, Holyfield, y'all. So go back and watch that show if you get a chance. Okay. Well, if you guys would like to follow along with all of my shows and everything, please go to my website. That's the cryptidhuntress.com. I've got all of my shows archived over there and a list of my events that I'm going to be at, including the Georgia Bigfoot Conference is coming up, y'all. Please hang out with us. Come over to the Georgia Bigfoot Conference. This is a new computer, so I'm not going to pull that up. I was going to pull up the flyer. It's going to be March 22nd. It's down here on the ticker in Demarest, Georgia. So be sure to come hang out with us at that conference. And I've got several other events. Those are all on my website. Go check it out. Okay. And also, I do have a Patreon if you guys would like to support my channel and my work. And I have a shop as well over on Etsy. It's called War Woman Good. So thank you guys for all the support. That Bigfoot conference is in Demarest, Georgia, at Piedmont University, if you guys are wondering. And hopefully Brice and her man will meet us over there for this conference. She came last year and she took all the best pictures while I was up there talking. She was like, what did you call it, Brice? Like the dance mom. So that was awesome. Yes, she makes a wonderful photographer too, in addition to being the hostess with the mostess over on Esoteric Atlanta. Okay, so wow. Okay, so today we are going to be discussing Georgia Skinwalkers. And y'all know I don't like saying that word a whole lot. And so maybe we'll just say shapeshifters or S-walkers. I don't know. We'll figure it out. I think somebody said flesh walkers or something in the chat one day. So if you guys have any alternatives I could use, y'all let me know. Okay, so we're going to be discussing about our encounters. We're going to discuss Brice's encounters, and then I'll talk about mine. But she's had 2 of them with potential S-walkers in the Appalachian Mountains. We're going to get into a little bit of this Appalachian folklore as well today, and talk about the legends and lore of the Appalachians. And does Brice believe that potentially these S-walkers target certain individuals? And I think they might too. Okay, so we're going to talk about that as well. Now, Brice Watson grew up in the Deep South with a love of folklore, legends, and stories associated with the South, spending her summers in her mother's family in the Low Country of coastal South Carolina. She was inundated with ghost stories, Gullah culture, and deep respect for the mysteries of the world. She's a lover of Eastern philosophy, and she's a traditional yoga as well. She teaches yoga in Atlanta a couple of times a week, maybe more. And so you guys go check that out. She's got all this information over on her YouTube channel and her social media. And yeah, so go find her on her YouTube channel. That's Esoteric Atlanta. If you guys are not already subscribed, please help me welcome to the show my good friend, Miss Brice of Esoteric Atlanta. What's up, girl?
Hey. Well, you know what's so funny is the first time we connected the dots, that our first experience with an S-walker was at the last Bigfoot conference, and your son and you were in our hotel room with your arms stuck to the wall.
Ben talks about that all the time. So he's like, oh, because I took him to a nicer hotel. Okay, at the last event that we did, and he was like, man, this is nice. There's no gum in the lampshades. Like in Brice's room. Yeah. That was so funny.
First time we were like literally standing in that hotel room with Ben looking at this gum where we like connected.
Yeah, I know. We stay at fancy places, y'all, sometimes. And yes, it's only the best for us Bigfoot and esoteric ladies over here. So yeah, but that's how my son gauges hotel rooms now, is by the gum, if it has gum in the room somewhere. So I feel horrible about that, but at the same time, it's funny. Okay.
Well, that hotel, to be fair, half of the hotel was nice, and the other half of the hotel had not been updated. It's above a Mexican restaurant, so the smell
good. Yeah. Yes. It was fantastic, you guys. Yeah, I know. That's right. I know. Book your rooms early for these Bigfoot conferences, y'all. I'm just saying. Get the good side.
Get the good side. Yeah.
Not the stinky side. Actually, it didn't stink. Just had gum everywhere. But anyways, we do have a lot of fun when we go out and do stuff. You and I together, and I had some pictures. Now I can't, for some reason, my computer, I can't pull up my pictures right now, but before the end of the show, I'll figure out how. And we went on a nature hike that weekend, or whenever we were out there, and went up through the Appalachian Mountains, and you were telling me some fantastic folklore stories and some things that go on up there, including the S-walker experience that you had. That sounded really scary. Let's talk about the Appalachian Mountains and the Appalachian folklore today before we get into the Skinwalkers.
I tell you, people who've never been to Appalachia, like that in itself is it's beautiful. First of all, it's I've traveled the world. I have lived all over the world. I've been all over Africa, India, Europe, Australia. I've been everywhere. Nowhere is as beautiful as Appalachia. And so even one of my good friends who's from Peru, she always talks about how there are absolutely. But
Scott says banjos.
The most beautiful place. It's so beautiful, but it's eerie because there are parts of Appalachia that are just not touched at all. And so it can be. It can't.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, sorry. I was trying to pull up some pictures by getting on my phone, but that's not going to work either.
That's okay.
Go ahead, Brice. I was trying to be slick about it. Doesn't work.
We need a younger person to
need help.
You know, the funny thing is like even the locals up there, you have to have respect for the locals because even they know there are just certain boundaries to Appalachia. Like you can't, man versus nature. Nature is always going to win. And I think that also includes the paranormal. Now, what's interesting, Jessica, for our audience who doesn't know, is the Appalachian Mountains are the oldest mountain range in the world. They predate like trees even, yeah. And so they're the oldest in the world. The legend is they go up and under the Atlantic Ocean and they come up in the Highlands of Scotland. So allegedly the Highlands of Scotland are part of Appalachia as well. We know that there's a ton of mythical legends around Scottish Highlands too. And, there is something that I tend to believe is our geography is not accurate, that we've been lied to. Did I take that? Is that one of the pictures?
You did. This is the Appalachians. I figured out how to get to my pictures. Yes.
Well, and that trip where I took that. So the funny thing is, one of the rules of Appalachia. Oh, there we are. I'm actually look. I'm in the same sweatshirt. So one of the rules of Appalachia that apparently the normal humans, our humanity, have made with the powers that be is that we will stay on the Appalachian Trail and we won't get off. There we are, walking down an old logging road, right? And so my boyfriend likes to buck the rules, and he likes to go off trail a lot. And so we had gone off trail because he found an area, like a good woman. Yeah. And so he had found this area off trail that he goes, I will not camp in Appalachia because it's too much for me. But he'll go by himself and camp. And I swear to God, every time he goes to camp up by himself in Appalachia, I wonder if he's coming back. Like, that's an actual thought I have. Is he going to come back?
Well, that spot he goes to is a little scary. It can be a little creepy out there. It's very remote.
Yeah, very remote.
I know of.
Which is why he likes it, because you have these hiking trails in Appalachia that are very they're very populated. There are trails that a lot of people go to, but then there's a lot of places that people find, and old logging trails like that one, where people don't go to that often. And so for us, it's great because we have our dog, and so we can let our dog off leash if we're in an area where not a lot of people are around. And it's all, the Appalachian goes all the way up from, I think it stops in like Georgia, Alabama. So we're kind of in Atlanta, we're kind of base, and then it goes up all the way up the East Coast.
Yeah, all the way almost to Maine. It goes through New York. I mean, it goes all the way up. I usually have a picture that I'll show that shows all the Appalachians, but it's all on the East Coast, and that's where I do all of my Bigfoot research. Almost all of it, not all, but most of it is in the Appalachians.
Wild. It's we question the history that we've been taught. I think a lot of us have been questioning it, and I even question the geography. Because the Tennessee, so the state of Tennessee, which has some of the Appalachian Mountains, and it's a long state, that Tennessee breaks down to the land of Isis. And so that signifies Egypt. So there's a lot of people who believe that the southeastern part of the United States is the real Egypt, that the Nile is the Mississippi River. There used to be Sphinx so there's just a lot of uncertainty about what's actually happening and what has been happening in Appalachia is magical, but magic can be used for both good or bad, right? And you have to know the part of it too, and we'll get into that more with my story, but I feel like when you understand that there are things out there that are beyond your comprehension, you have to have respect for that, whether it's good or bad, and know your limits. And I do think, you go through Reddit, these Reddit chains, and you read these experiences that people have had, especially with like feral people. I mean, that's a wild one too. The cannibals of Appalachia, and when you go and you spend a lot of time in Appalachia, you don't doubt it, because there's just so many areas that are just so cut off from the rest of the world in that area. And I mean, you look at the Appalachians too, you're like, the story of the United States, like the settlers came in and literally in petticoats and wagons.
Right. I know there's some timeline deception there, Brice, for sure.
Yeah.
And I am so intrigued by, I mean, you and I have talked about like even Lake Norris up in Tennessee, how there was an ancient Egyptian settlement. Yep. You can find newspaper articles about it. The entire historical society, the universities out there, they knew there was an ancient Egyptian settlement there, and they flooded. They dug it up. Yeah, it was an Isis temple, and then they dug it up. Basically, they excavated some of it, and then they flooded it with Lake Norris.
Yep. And my history book here, I got at I got it at an antique shop up in Connecticut. I had to buy it first before I could read it. But this isn't interesting. If you can find old American history books from the 1800s, from the 19th century, it tells a completely different history than what we're taught in school now. Mm-hmm. Completely different, including different geography.
That's wild. I have a 1850 or 1840 history book right there behind me too.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you know, right? What? We're on the same frequency there, or maybe I know, right? Yeah, I think it's important that we have books like that. But I think even back then the history might have been skewed. I know it was.
Yeah, I mean, we look at the Great Reset, Tartaria, all these different things, and it kind of blows away maybe our conceptions about where we come from and who we are. And so it's just, they're just unexplainable. There are species of animals in certain parts of Appalachia that you can't find anywhere else in the world. Right. And like so being from the South, I went up to Salem one summer because I was really interested in like being in Salem, Massachusetts.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there's nothing in Salem. Those witch trials did not happen there. Are you kidding me? That did not happen in Salem. It is so controlled. So in Charleston, where my mama's family's from, that is an old ass city. And you can walk through that graveyard and you can touch the graves. I mean, listen, this is the land of voodoo and hoodoo. People are always putting stuff on graves. You cannot stop them from putting stuff on graves. You go through a graveyard, there's rocks and pennies and toys and shells and from graves from like the 1600s. Like you can't, but you go to Salem, they don't let you touch the graves. And so you're walking through these graveyards and I'm looking at these tombstones and I'm like, they got this shit at Party City. Like this is not real. This is not real.
Are you serious? Tell me about this.
There's nothing. I'm sensitive to ghosts. I'm sensitive to all that stuff. There is near ghosts in Salem, Massachusetts. Nothing happened there. Nothing happened there. I think the witch trials absolutely happened, but I don't think it was Salem.
Oh man. So it's become more of a tourist destination, not so much
accurate
historical fact.
There might be something, maybe they're trying to get energy to that area for a reason. But I'm sorry, if you're from Massachusetts, come down south. Come to Charleston or Savannah or New Orleans, and you're going to experience a very different reality than what Salem's trying to sell you. That's Disney World. That's not real. None of that stuff. I mean, I was so angry when I was there. I was like, you got to be kidding me. You're making a mockery of whatever the Salem witch trials were. You are making a mockery because nothing happened here. Nothing happened here. But they give you a clue. So one of my favorite shows of all time is American Horror Story because they tell you a lot of stuff. And season 3 is called Coven, and it takes place in New Orleans. And they call it the Salem witch trials. They travel down to New Orleans, but I think they're kind of telling you that that's not where the catastrophe happened at all.
Oh,
there, it's just I mean, we've been duped by so many things in this world that
I know it takes sleuths like you and I.
I know.
Doing our online research and our boots on the ground field research out here.
Yeah.
And reporting back to the masses.
Yeah.
That's so funny. It's true though.
And there's more magic. Like if you're really interested in like magic, go to Charleston, South Carolina or Savannah, Georgia or New Orleans, Louisiana or St. Augustine, Florida, because that's where real magic is. That's where real magic is still being worked today with the Gullah. And you know, it's not bad or good. It's both. Yeah, I love the South too. The South I feel blessed to be born in the South, to be born in such an eccentric. This is the most eccentric area in the world. I've told. They have a triangle up near the Vermont area. I've covered that before. It's not close to Salem. I've said this before, Jessica. Like being from the South. Do you remember when the movie Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil came out and the book came out about it's based on a true story about a trial that happened in Savannah, and this reporter came down from New York to report on it. And the opening, they showed this like guy walking a ghost dog. And I was like 16 when this came out in the late 90s. And I remember watching like the news program and they were talking about it, and they were talking about, did that really happen? Was there this man walking this ghost dog? And there was this whole conversation around it. And I remember at 16 years old thinking, I mean, you guys don't, why is this weird? Like, you guys don't have men who walk ghost dogs in your neighborhood? Like, that's like normal in the South. Like, that's just everyone got one of those. And so I feel, and again, I've been blessed to live in Europe. I've traveled and lived in different countries in Europe. I've spent extensive time in Africa, obviously lived in India, Australia, and I've never in my life found a place as eccentric and magical as the southeastern part of the United States. I mean, you got women going to church on Sunday morning and then pulling out their tarot cards Sunday night. You know, you got Mahala Lancaster, right? Like that's.
Well, I was going to say, you and I were talking about leaving things on people's graves. Well, you and I went out to Mahala Lancaster's grave, and we left $1 and a dime.
Yep.
Okay, or you did. I was along for the ride there, and that was fantastic. But that's actually how you and I kind of bonded. Actually, was through Mahaley.
Yeah. That's the South, baby. Like that's how Southern women are. They're the psychics but they're also like Mahaley going to church every Sunday. You know, it's very much, that's the culture of the South. I mean, my mother was a hardcore Presbyterian, but she told me my first ghost story she's from the coast of South Carolina. So I learned about the gray man but that's one of the first things I remember being as a tiny little child, learning about the gray man that walks the coast of Pawleys Island in South Carolina to warn people about a hurricane coming. And when the rocking chairs start rocking hardcore on the porch facing the ocean, you got to sit up and wait to see if the gray man's going to come. Scared the crap out of me when I was that young, that this ghost was just going to come knock on the door and tell us to vacate the premises because a hurricane was coming. And that's just how it is. That's how the South is. And I have a lot of appreciation for that there is, it just makes it interesting. It just makes it very, very interesting. Yeah, all Southerners have pride. Well, that's interesting you say that, because I am mostly South Carolinian, even though I grew up mostly in Georgia. My mom's family is hardcore South Carolinian. Brice is my mother's maiden name. That's another thing we do down here in the South. And if you look at the University of South Carolina, the Williams-Brice Stadium, that's like some great uncle of mine did not have children. And I'm kind of mad that he didn't leave his money to us instead of putting it towards a football stadium.
But, no, what? That's what people do in the South, though.
That kind of, because I'm not really
give all the money to the Humane Society, and that's great. And what about kids?
I know. Yeah. And Strom Thurmond, who was one of our longest running senators, that's my grandmother, my mom's cousin. She was Maxine Strom. And so I have a huge South Carolina. It's funny you say that, because my grandparents, even though we grew up in Georgia, I was born in South Carolina, but we grew up in Georgia, they were very insistent that we always know that we are from the coast of South Carolina, that we are Gullah, we are Geechee, we are from that area. Whereas, but then my dad's dad is from Appalachia. He's from Knoxville, Tennessee. So he's hardcore Appalachia. And then my dad's mom, I've covered her family. They're from New Orleans, came up to South Georgia and had dairy farms and, settled some towns and
sorry,
is that your baby?
This is Freya. Yeah, she's trying to get her 15 minutes. 15 seconds of fame back here. She's a treat.
Freya's the star. Freya's
she always is. She's upstaging.
Yeah.
It's okay.
So, but look at Mahaley too. Like a lot of Southern. Well, let's talk Georgia, for example. Like when I was studying the Werewolf of Georgia, which we've spoken about. I learned Georgia has a history in the South. And let's just take the state and compare it to the rest of the world, shall we? Georgia was one of the first states, not just in the United States, but compared to the world, to give women rights. In the 1800s, the state of Georgia was one of the only territories in the world that gave women the right to directly inherit from their fathers or their parents' estate.
That's right. That's right. And Mahaley Lancaster was one of the first female lawyers in Georgia too. And she was a fortune teller, y'all, in case anybody's wondering. I know that some people in the audience may have no idea who we're talking about. She was an eccentric fortune teller. People would give her $1 and a dime to have their fortunes read. And she had a glass eye and all that kind of stuff. Very eccentric. But she was featured on a movie where June Carter Cash played her. She and Johnny Cash were in a documentary movie called, what was that called? Murder in Coweta County.
Yeah, about the actual, Andy Griffith played the bad guy.
Yeah.
So she's incredible. But that, my dad's mom, whose family came up from New Orleans, her grandmother, who was a Hightower, she was one of the, in the 1800s, she was one of the women that was the most highly educated in the state of Georgia, which is wild because people make fun of the South, but literally Georgia has led the way globally for women to have power. And so, for that quarter Georgian that I have, I'm very proud of the Georgia line. But we do. Every state has their own. Well, if you take the story of settlers seriously, every state has its own culture too, depending on the settlers that came in and where they came from. We're packing heat for sure.
Some of us. It depends on what kind of heat you're packing. I pack all types of heat.
We pack heat. We're in Appalachia with Jessica. We're the most well-protected group out there.
Oh, Brice, so you've been out in the woods with me. Tell tell everybody about that. Was that fun or what?
That was so
We got to see some
fun.
Bigfoot. Well,
Yeah.
we were looking for Bigfoot sign, but
Yeah. Well, we've been out to a couple of, we went, I won't give the location, but we went closer towards where Mahaley's from. And actually, my boyfriend was asking me when he knew we were coming on, I was coming to your show, if I still had the picture on my phone of that claw mark.
yeah. Oh, that's right. In the ground. Yeah.
Yeah, that you guys studied for a long time. Now, you guys, I'm not like nature buff like Jessica or my boyfriend is. So I would have just walked right over that. But when you really look at it, it was not an animal that we would be familiar with. You know, it's definitely big.
It looked like some big cat claw marks or something, but yeah, it was a little discerning, a little concerning actually. And so, yeah, I figured it was time for us to get out of there. I think Todd did too.
You and my boyfriend were like,
yeah,
skedaddle on out of here, you know, because there are parts of this Appalachian that you don't have cell service, you know, you don't have if you get lost, you're lost.
You're lost. That's right. And you don't want to get lost because you might stumble upon some strange looking people out in the woods. And I'm actually, Brice, I think I told you, like, I'm more worried about humans out there than I am Bigfoot and dogmen even. Yeah. I'm more worried about humans, but see, like, you and I both have encountered humans that didn't look quite human too, right?
No. Should we get into that?
Let's get into it. Yeah, I want to hear your stories because I
start with the first one that we told you in the hotel room with the gum in the lampshade.
Yes, the gum in the lampshade. Yes, let's start with that one. I mean, they're all pretty fascinating. Okay, and then we can talk about mine too towards the end today. But yes, absolutely. Please.
So we didn't realize this very weird thing happened to my boyfriend and me. Like right when we first started dating. I was not on YouTube yet. Like I did not know Jessica, but we would go to this place. If you guys have seen the movie Deliverance, there is a trail that they use to film, and it goes down to what's called Raven Rock. And so this is a great swimming hole, we go there all the time. Very hard trail to transverse. Actually, if you read the Yahoo reviews for Raven Rock, I mean, the dumbest among us write these reviews sometimes. Like people were complaining about how hard it was. Like nature can help that. You know, like what, you're going to go put an escalator in? It's a very hard hike. But nonetheless, we would go down there in the summer times and we kind of stay on the beach area, bring food and just kind of swim. And we were down there one day. It was myself, my boyfriend, and our friend Josh. Now, Josh is my friend who does the music for my channel. He was an Alec is Attic with River Phoenix back in the day. And he was also in the band Deer Hunter. So he's got quite an extensive bio. Thankfully, he gives me music for my channel. So we were down there. This is before I had my channel. And then, you know, it's starting to get dusk and you don't really want to be in Appalachia when it's dark outside.
No, that's the scariest. Actually, dusk is always my least favorite time. I mean, it's not that I don't like it, but it's just that's when the energy shifts.
Yeah.
Every time I'm out in the woods, the energy shifts right when it's in between the sun going down and it being nighttime.
Right. So, well, you kind of get that feeling. You're like, okay, we need to go. Now, to get back to this trail, it's a dirt road. It takes you can only go 2 miles an hour. It's really deep into the woods. And so you have to get up the trail in time to get to your car and actually get out to the main road. So where we're coming up the trail, we get to the top of it. Now, this is not guys, this is not a trail that's obviously it's not heavily populated. It's not easy. There's thorns everywhere. It's we usually wear long pants and we get to the beach and then we take our stuff off and swim. So we're walking out of the trailhead to get to the car, and this woman comes towards us. Now, the woman I see coming towards us is an older lady in a church sundress with a walking stick, barefoot. Now, remember the barefoot thing because that apparently is important. It's the strangest thing, and she walks past us, and she doesn't even acknowledge us. She doesn't make eye contact with us, and she's barefoot with this stick, with the sundress on, and she's going past us in the trail, but she's heading in a direction where there is no trail. The trail kind of curves, but she just keeps walking. And we all three of us stop and say hello, but she just keeps on walking. And we kind of look at each other and we're like, that's weird. Should we be concerned? The sun's setting. She's got no shoes on. She's got a freaking church dress on. Where is she going? Nonetheless, we get in the car and we drive off. Well, it wasn't until years later that and it was right before we met up with Jessica. That morning I was listening to some Skinwalker things, and I realized that she must have been a Skinwalker because some of this. And I said something. I had my boyfriend listen to the story, read the Reddit post, and turns out he saw someone completely different. He saw a young girl. I saw an old lady. He saw all barefoot.
Stop it.
Yeah.
Are you serious? I'd forgotten that. And I have a similar situation that happened to me in Montauk, New York last year. So we'll talk about that in a minute. Go ahead.
Well, all barefoot. Wow. We both saw her in like a church dress. Then we're freaked out, like blood is running from our faces, like realizing we saw some. So then he calls Josh to see who Josh saw. Turns out Josh didn't see anything. He saw nothing. He didn't know why we had stopped and said hello.
What?
Yeah.
He didn't see a person?
At all. Nothing. He remembers that episode because we just kind of stopped and said hello and then turned around and looked, and he didn't know why we were doing that.
I wonder if she could have been a ghost too.
No, she was solid.
What do you think?
I think this has to do with the which we'll get to with the people they target, which we'll get to.
Okay.
Because I learned that from research as well. So nonetheless, that goes by. We years later realized it was a Skinwalker. We know that this part of the United States is infested. I got that from a Native American told me that part of the United States of Georgia is infested. Infested, my friends, with S-walkers.
Oh man.
Infested. So
yeah.
So then the next time happens, and then so this is this past Thanksgiving. We decided that instead of going to family, we were going to go and have a quiet Thanksgiving by ourselves up in the same area. So we stayed in the same hotel with the gum and the
fancy one.
We made sure to get the good side, though.
The fancy one.
The fancy one. And so
the good side.
The good side. On the good side. We made sure. My boyfriend went in there. He was like, do not put us on that other side. Put us on this side. We want to face Publix, the grocery store.
Yeah.
So we get there. We're staying there for it was like 2 or 3 days we were staying there. And so my boyfriend loves to study maps. And so he had found this. Now I've talked about this on my channel before. One of the cool things about Appalachia is that you will find random cemeteries. Mm-hmm. Old family cemeteries. Now this is very normal. The story from the history books, what they tell us is that when the settlers were settling this area, when someone would pass away, they would just bury them in like a random family cemetery. They just pick a spot because they couldn't get the bodies to churches or whatever. So you have these random, they're everywhere all over Appalachia. And in fact, as cities are expanding, a lot of times they'll run across cemeteries and they'll have to build around it. Like there's a parking lot in Atlanta where in the middle of the parking lot, there's this old cemetery that they just built around it out of respect because they'll find them. So my boyfriend found on a map this old family cemetery, which they're all fascinating to look at because they're so old, right? They're from the 1800s, some 1700s. And so if you can read the two, and they're usually the same family. So we decided there's this trail that it's called the Bertram Trail. Now the Bertram was one of the explorers of Appalachia. Now this particular trail that where the cemetery is near is a trail that is very popular. There are a lot of people on it. Now this is what's interesting, Jessica, is that we've done this trail a lot. Now there's at a certain point, you're walking this trail and I always feel fine at a certain point, but then all of a sudden we hit this particular place where I always start to feel uneasy. Now the interesting thing is our dog. Now on this trail, Ravi, our dog, has to stay on a leash because there's so many people coming and going. But usually Ravi likes to be at the front of the pack. We know dogs, they like to have jobs. They want to have jobs. And so he likes to be in front. So we keep him on front, but the same area where my stomach starts to turn, Ravi will go behind me. So he wants to be in the middle of my boyfriend and me. And I'm faster than him, so I usually go in front. And so he'll want to get between us. So he gets nervous too. Now, I'm not super hesitant to not do this trail because, like I said, it's very popular. So it's not like there are people coming and going. There are forest people out there all the time. So you just feel like you're being watched. Yeah. So on this particular trail, you're going to find what's called the homestead, where you get 3 miles in, something like that. And there's an old homestead where the settlers, apparently there's an old chimney standing there. there's some old farm equipment that's like rotted over. And so some people will have that as their marker to go to see the homestead. You can keep going. Well, on the map, it looked like my boyfriend said, okay, from the homestead, we just have to go off trail a little bit to get to the old family cemetery. So we thought we were just going to go off trail a little bit and there would be the cemetery. So we get on the trail, we get to the homestead, we go off trail a little bit, and we realize that the cemetery is actually it's right by the homestead, but it's up on the top of a ledge of a really high peak. So we would have to literally climb up and then climb back down. And if it was just the two of us without the dog, we probably could have done it. But I was very concerned. I don't know if Ravi we would have had to carry him down because it was so steep coming down. And so we stood there off trail by the homestead for a little while, figuring out what we were going to do. And so he had his map and he was like, there is a road that goes to the old graveyard. So why don't we go back? We'll go get some lunch. And then after lunch, we'll go back. We'll drive up there. Okay. So we go back, we get in our car. We go back to the hotel. Now, my boyfriend's a bit of a napper, which is probably the biggest strain in our relationship because I'm not a napper. I just want to go, 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 go. I'm O negative. O negatives have a lot of energy. He's A negative. A's have to nap a lot. So that's the difference. So he decides after lunch, he's going to take a nap. So I kind of walk around. There was this new little tarot shop in the town. So it's getting late. So I'm like, you know what? I kind of talked to him when I came back. I was like, let's just go to the tarot shop tonight because it's getting kind of late. And then we can go do the graveyard in the morning, early in the morning. Because you guys know we don't want to be out that far into Appalachia at night. So he's getting up. I put my makeup on. So we're going to go into town to the tarot shop. That's what I think. I put my fancy sweatpants on because all I have is sweatpants because we're in the mountains. And all of a sudden, it's like something took over him where he was determined that we were going to go to this graveyard. Like there was nothing. Like all of a sudden, he just switched. So we get in the car. I start panicking because usually he's the type of person where if I'm uncomfortable, he stops. But it was like he had this determination. We're in my car. We go down War Woman Road. We turn off. I'm panicking because I'm like, I thought we were going to the tarot shop. We start going up this road. I'm getting more and more uncomfortable. Like I'm having a flat out panic attack. We pass this woman, y'all. And Jessica, you can tell me when you get back into Appalachia and these dirt roads, this is not a place where somebody's going to have you come pick that. Like you're not going to like be like, hey bro, pick me up at this like one oak tree at 3:03 p.m. Like there's nothing here. Like there was no other trails. There was no other horse trails. It is up a steep dirt road. So we pass this woman sitting on the side of the road. She's dressed in winter gear because it's cold. It's way colder up there than it is in Atlanta because it's way up high. And she's got her feet. So she's sitting with her feet kind of out and she has no shoes on. So I didn't realize that my boyfriend didn't notice that she had no shoes on. I'm going up. We see this girl sitting there. She kind of waves at us. And my boyfriend was like, that's weird. And I said, yes, that's creepy. And I thought I had said that's creepy. She has no shoes on. If I said it, he must have not heard it. So he keeps driving. He's kind of looking around like, do you see a bike? Do you see, like, there's no car? Like, this is weird. This is so weird. But we keep driving. Well, I'm panicking and panicking and panicking and panicking. The deeper we get into Appalachia, this road is so up and down. We're in my car and I drive an SUV, but my SUV is not made for like really off-roading like Appalachia gets sometimes. So I'm having a full-on panic attack. And my boyfriend was like, Brice, as that one person, we're packing heat. Like, I don't know what you're afraid of. And I looked at him. I said, at this instant, I'm not afraid of a human being. I'm afraid of something paranormal. Well, he thought that I meant ghosts at the cemetery. I'm not afraid of ghosts. I'm used to ghosts. Right. I could have smacked him at that point. I was like, no, I'm worried about, like, I think I even said skinwalkers. Like, and I said to him, I said, I am targeted spiritually. He thinks it's the funniest thing. I get scratched all the time. He watches me get, and he'll be like, holy shit, I just saw the scratch. I've had so much happen to me. I'm a magnet for like paranormal occurrences. And so I said to him, I was like, if something happens to us paranormally, it's going to be my fault because I've attracted it. and Robbie's here, and you're here, and he just keeps going. It's like he just is not even acknowledging the fact that I panic. I'm like having a full-on panic attack at this point. I can't breathe. I'm about to start crying, and we're in my car. I'm being taken here against my will. And finally, we get to a turn in the road where there's this huge mound of dirt, and he says, "Oh, your car's not going to make it over that mound of dirt." So he backs up. It took some while to turn the car around.
Oh, no. You hit a berm. That's what that was.
Thank God, whatever it was, it was a miracle from the good Lord, because he got him to turn around. So we start going back down the road, and I notice there's this goat beside us. It's like following the car. It's this
a what?
A goat.
I thought you said goat. I was like, wait a second.
Goat? Yeah, like an animal.
A goat. Like a
there are goats up there. There are goats up there, but they're like in packs. They're not just randomly rogue goats following a car in the middle of Appalachian. I'm watching this goat. It's black.
That's weird.
It's weird with this like white thing down its front.
Was it walking on two legs, Brice? That's the question.
Well, it looked like four legs to me on four, and it was following us. Now, of course, we're not going that fast because this is an off-roading. And I'm watching it. I pointed out to my boyfriend. I was like, "That's really weird," because goats are, they're pack animal. Like they're not, Old MacDonald had a farm. This is not an animal you're just going to see rogue hanging out in Appalachia. And then we get to the place where the woman was sitting, and she's gone. She's gone.
Mm-hmm.
And my boyfriend at that point, like his color drains from his face. He's like, "Where did she go?" There's no way she would have gotten down that mountain in the time we were gone. If a car had picked her up, we would have heard it. There was no way she could have gotten. And I said to him, I go, especially since she was barefoot. And he looks at me, he goes, "She was barefoot?" And I said, "Yeah, you didn't see, she was totally barefoot." And he was like, "Well, that's weird." So then we get back down to War Woman Road, which is the paved main road. And I just feel all my anxiety rolling off me. And at this point now, my boyfriend is having a panic attack because he doesn't know what just happened to him. Like he doesn't know what that was. So we get back to the hotel, and we start immediately researching. Well, apparently it's common for Skinwalkers not to wear shoes.
Well, I mean, their feet can't fit once they turn into like goat hooves.
I know. Right? So that, and apparently if you get, apparently when they hunt you.
Do you think that she was the goat?
Yeah.
Oh my God. I'm slow today. And I just made that connection.
Well, this is literally one of the scariest things I ever went through.
That is wild.
The feeling I had. So we start to research this. He is like really researching it more than me because he doesn't know what the hell just happened. They have the ability to telepathically talk to you and like convince you of things, but they also have to negotiate and have wiggle room along the rules of consent. So, for example, if she kind of lured him out to get us to come on this, let me back up. Actually, let me back up.
Okay.
A little bit. So let's go back to the Bertram Trail. So
okay.
How did this Skinwalker know to get my boyfriend to drive us out there? Well, that area of the Bertram Trail that I feel uncomfortable is also apparently part of the area where it's infested with S-walkers. Now again, but this is an area that's highly populated. So what they do, according to folklore, is when they're in animal form, they will stalk humans. So they'll watch humans. So you might be on a trail, feel a little uncomfortable, like you're being watched, but you don't know it's a fox in the corner that's not really a fox, right? You don't see it.
Yeah.
So I think what happened is we got to the Bertram Trail. We got off trail by the homestead. The graveyards were up there. I think this S-walker heard us talking about getting to the graveyard, heard him say after lunch we'll go up there. And then when we weren't going up there, I think she entrapped him to put me in the car, us in the car to go that way. Now, because it was a female, now you guys know in the South, like men in the South, they if you see a woman on the side of the road, usually men will stop to see if you're just a woman in distress.
My grandfather always did. He would show up to the house with such random people all the time to like give them money or take them where they needed to go. I got an interesting story about that. I'll just a little commercial break. My grandfather picked a lady up from the post office one day, and she was like, "I've got to get to Douglasville or something." And he was like, "Okay." So he felt bad, and he was like, "Well, I'll take her there and drop her off." And like about a week later, he was in the post office and he overheard some people saying, "Well, my mother has dementia really bad. And she went to the post office and somehow she just ended up in Douglasville."
No.
And my grandfather was like, "Oh man, that was me. I took her."
Well, it's a good thing your grandfather went in the car with us
He
because
was nice. He would do, but that's how some people in the South do. Not so much now, maybe. But back in the day,
the old school men in the South, especially in like small towns like Clayton, where this is, they will, they'll make sure a woman isn't in distress. So with the Skinwalker, with her consent, her rules of consent, basically what we learned is she was able to telepathically get him to come up there. I don't know if there were any tracks because we didn't get out of the car. That's the thing. We didn't get out of the car. So what happened was she was sitting on the side of the road and she just waved at us. Now, if she had gotten up and acted like she was in distress to get us to pull over, that would have infringed on our consent because she wasn't in distress. Yeah. And so she just had to wave with the hopes of getting my boyfriend to pull over. So the reason why she hypnotized him is because he was the man. And this is the South. To get but he didn't pull over. He didn't pull over to see if she needed help. Because she just kind of waved, she kept driving. So we also learned that Skinwalkers are very attractive to RH negative people, which both my boyfriend and I are RH negatives, especially O negative. So O negatives give off a higher, let's just put it this way. Most professional athletes, not all professional athletes, but most of them are O negative. You have more oxygen in your blood. And so you're like the Energizer Bunny. Do they still have the Energizer Bunny commercials?
I don't watch TV.
Going when we were kids, that Energizer Bunny. Just going. We don't nap. So they like O negatives because of the energy. They are also, on top of that, they are very, very attracted to people who study spirituality. So people who are into the esoteric, who, do what you do, Jessica, who know that there's more out there. There's a certain juiciness to those people. So for both my boyfriend and me, we're like a double whammy.
Yeah.
Because we're both RH negative and we both are into the esoteric. Now, I personally believe, and so does my boyfriend, that she was more targeting me than him because I'm O negative. And I've had situations where I've been targeted before because so what we've learned is that they can't really physically hurt you. They can, but not in the way you think. They can more drain from your energy and curse you. So, I don't know because I didn't get out. The woman that walked past us, I don't remember her smelling. That's not a memory I have. But
what does a goat smell like? She probably smelled like a goat.
And we were like sweaty ourselves. So, but with the other
Brice, you're saying you smell like a goat too.
We were outside of the first instance, but the second instance with the girl on the side of the road, the windows rolled up, so we didn't, that wasn't even occurred to us.
Don't ever get close enough to smell a S-Walker. Okay.
Don't get close enough to a complete stranger where you can smell them, especially if they look a little weird. I hate to say this, but up in that area, if someone looks weird, they could just be on, something else. I won't say it on YouTube, but you never know. But so
that's right.
So they also are used. So S-Walkers are used by covens of dark witches to curse people, to send so they target people for that reason too. So there's lots of different reasons. Now, I wouldn't eat one. Ooh, it's old. They're old. So there's two different origin stories for the S-Walkers. I don't know which one is true. I don't even know if the origin story, it is, but it's not. But they're not just in the southwestern part of the United States. They're everywhere.
They're everywhere. Yeah, actually, I've potentially encountered one myself near Cherokee, North Carolina, and I was with two elders that are Cherokee, and they. It was all very shocking. We'll get into my story in a little bit after you finish yours, but one approached our camp one night, and it got cursed out in ancient, like old Cherokee dialect, and it was scary. Yeah, it was scary.
Yeah, they're everywhere. They're not just in I'm grateful to the Navajo for like being the whistleblower about this. Now I know a lot of Native Americans don't like talking about these things, but here's my thing: is that this is happening to people. And they need to warn others because this is dangerous. Like you need to warn people that this is happening, right? So anyway, so the two origin stories are either they are beings from other densities, so they're not necessarily third density, They could be, 4 density being coming into 3rd density to do this, wreak this havoc. And I say they would be negative density because positive beings from other densities don't interfere with our. So that's one thing to know. Like if you're channeling, quote unquote channeling, or you always Almy, is that, sorry, I can't see that well. I think she telepathically, they speak telepathically to him. So I think she telepathically lured him. She knew he wanted to go there, but he had but in the last she heard, but then we had changed our plans, and so she telepathically, and she went for him and not me because she knew he would be driving between the two of us because he's the man. That was just an assumption she made, which she was right, and that he would be more likely to pull over to see a damsel in distress, right? So they're very tactical. They hunt the high vibe tribe, absolutely. So and so the origin, so that's one origin story, is that they're not actually from this density. They're 4D negative entities that come through the veil to abuse us. They are shapeshifters, absolutely. They shapeshift back and forth between an animal and a human, and that's why they're called S-walkers. The skin of an animal they put on to shapeshift. Now, the more the more you get into Native American folklore, especially the Navajo, their origin story is that S-walkers were once human beings just like us, and they basically sold their soul for everlasting life, for immortality. And that's the thing. Like my boyfriend says it all the time. To be immortal is negative polarity. Like if you read the law of one, it's the negative side. And anything on the negative side comes with a cost. So you could sell your soul to be immortal, but at what cost? So now you're destined to be an S-walker, and at the bidding, you live at the bidding of another witch's demands to curse. So both origin stories are not good. Yeah. So immortality is on the negative side. We are souls. We are souls. Our body is just our vehicle for this existence. We shed the body when we're done to move into our new. The soul is what's eternal, not the body. But to be so obsessed with the body that you don't want to give it up, so you sell your soul to be eternally in the body. You gotta. It comes at a cost, right?
Oof! I don't want this body forever. I mean, I like this body; it's great, but yeah, I got other things to do and other bodies to get in one day. I don't know. I'm just saying.
It's like imagine being in the outfit you're wearing today.
How boring.
I know. Well, when the outfit you're wearing today, like imagine eternally you had to wear the same.
Oh God!
It would.
No.
What people
get holy.
So this is what's kind of funny to me. It kind of reminds me of like Black Eyed Kids too. Like people who have conversations with these S-walkers say that they will try to have a conversation with you to make it sound like they're like from this time, but they'll say things that are a little bit off from our culture because they don't know, because they're not hanging out in like towns with people.
Trying to be human in these human meat suits.
They're trying too hard, right? To be so let's say the origin story was from like they were at one point human, like 2,000 years ago. They've been hanging around for 2,000 years trying to like keep up with the local slang. It just doesn't work. So regardless of their origin stories, they're not good beings. And I think the most important thing for people to know is like your consent matters. Your consent matters. So if you feel threatened, you just give no consent and you walk away. Right? So they can't force you. They have to play the rules of the game, and they have to get you to consent to it. Now, with my thing, Jessica, though, is just an Appalachian alone. I don't know if I would be like, I might be a little bit more standoffish with complete. You can tell, though, can't you? You can tell when it's not when it's not a ritual.
Yeah, you can, and also going back to the thing the point about you got to let them in, you got to invite them. That's why we're always talking about not putting the welcome mats out in front of your house. Yeah. Okay, that's so important. Like, it could be a subconscious welcome too. It couldn't be just like, "Hey, you're welcome." If you open up to somebody, even letting somebody touch you could be a welcome mat. Do you know what I mean? Or shaking hands and stuff. I don't know. It's just it's an odd thing, but it could be like a subconscious letting them in.
That's so interesting you say that, Jessica, because like in India, like people make so many mistakes in yoga. Like vinyasa flow is not really yoga, guys. That's not what they do in India. So people will go their yoga classes and they'll do this thing. This is not done in yoga, guys. This is not done in yoga. So it's this. It's done like this, and it's only done for chanting. And the reason why the mudra is different is in India, they don't hug each other when they greet each other. That's when they put their hands together and say hello. And this symbolizes, I keep my karma, you respectively keep your karma, to say hello, right? But when you're doing yoga and chanting, it's that because you're opening up the heart energy to take in the chant. So that's a huge misunderstanding in the Western world of yoga. So people are up there chanting like this was actually a closed off mudra to keep your in greeting when this. Right. And in your practice, you should never come back to that anyway. Like that's very vinyasa flow. That's very non-traditional yoga. So anyway, but yeah, so it's interesting you say that. So there's a lot of ancient cultures that recognize that you should be very careful with how you greet people, especially strangers, because of the energy exchange with, like, I know Jessica knows me. We can hug each other. We're fine. But if you meet a complete stranger and you don't know their intention for you, you want to be very mindful of holding your own karma, your own energy within yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got enough karma on my hands that I've been working off for a while, so I don't need nobody else's karma. Stay away from me, everybody that wants their karma on me. But but that's another thing. Like, well, and that's something that I've been learning over the past few years is like, you hang out with the wrong people, you take on their karma.
Absolutely.
Okay, and also, if you're a bad person, you can put your karma off on good people. Okay, and stuff like that. So it's messed up, especially for people who aren't aware of that.
Your intimacy, like when you're intimate with somebody.
Oh, that's the worst way.
You're sharing karma with that person. That's why people get so confused with like tantric yoga. They think it's like that. No, India is one of the most conservative countries in the world. It's one partner, one beloved you're doing with that, not a whole slew of people. And because you're sharing karma, and like every time you like break up with somebody, you need to like detox for a few months to like reset yourself before you let somebody else in. That's another reason why cheating is so bad, because you're bringing somebody else's karma into the relationship without that person knowing. It's so important. And anybody who's studying energetics like this, to understand, knowledge is power and knowledge protects. So the more you understand this, and that's what I was saying to you, Jessica, like, I know that these entities exist out there. I know that. Jessica knows that. And so therefore, for me, I try to keep that boundary of respect. Like, I'm not going to be the one to bring down the negative forces. We're in a third density planet. Third density is about choice. Either you go negative or positive. So as long as we're third density, there's always going to be darkness and there's always going to be light, right? There's going to be both, right? Again, read the law of one if this is the first time you're hearing that. So I will respect my path. And I will step back. I don't agree with what you're doing, but I'm not going to get entangled. So 4D. So a lot of people get confused between density and dimension. I find dimension to be more of like the fake stuff. Like that's more of like the fake corrupted spirituality. It's more about density. So again, the law of one talks about this. So third density is where we are now. And then we'll split at third and we'll go fourth density positive or fourth density negative. And fourth density positive, you have to be 51% service to others to go fourth density positive. And you have to be like 94% service to self to go negative. So you think about right now, all the bad stuff going on our planet, which we're not going to get super into because it's YouTube. They're intentionally trying to go negative. Like that's their religious path, right? And on third density, both exist. So both exist on third density because this is the density of choice. We're making the choices of which path we want to go. They all eventually go back to the one, but we're making those choices. So all this horrific stuff going on in our world that's so incredibly devious, so I would highly suggest people please read the Law of One. There are like 4 or 5 different books. It's the raw material. It goes deep into this. And for me, studying the Law of One has really helped me during this time this timeline that we're in, because I understand what's happening. I understand exactly what's happening. And it helps you even understand like establishment, right? And like what's happening with, especially right now, Jessica, like in the world, in America right now, it's like, get your popcorn because every day something new is being exposed, right? So,
it's quite alarming, but it's so wonderful because the light is shining on it and everything's getting exposed right now. So much is getting exposed. And we're able to talk about stuff like this too and kind of shine a light on it. But you and I have been doing this for years.
Yeah.
Okay. Years. But people are finally, the normies are waking up to it now. So welcome to the Cryptid Huntress channel. All you normies. I'm just kidding.
we've talked about this.
There's not an army, by the way. You guys are awesome. But there's somebody must come across my channel.
If you're new to this stuff, but this stuff like resonates within your soul, subscribe to her channel because oh boy, do we have a lot to talk to you about.
That's a great channel for this stuff too, y'all. For sure.
That's part of growing up in the South, right, Jessica? Like I was saying in the beginning, it's so centric down here. We grew up with all these ghost stories, all this stuff, that it was easy to know as a Southern kid that life isn't what you think it is. And so it's not too much of a stretch to wake up from that, because you can't tell me you can't tell me that life is just, you know, what the science book says it is. No, it's not. My favorite story is one of Ram Dass's, who's a great spiritual teacher. He was used to be a teacher at Harvard, and then he went on this like drug in the 60s and took shrooms and opened up his mind and traveled off to India and met his guru. And anyway, he said he would be talking to like his old Harvard buddies, like one of the physics professors. And he was explaining stuff that his guru in India, Neem Karoli Baba, would do, like bilocate. And his physics professor would be like, but that's not possible. It's not possible to bilocate. And Ram Dass would respond and be like, yeah, I know it's not possible, but he did it anyway. You know, you start to learn that there is more.
Anything's possible.
Anything is possible.
Yeah. And anything's possible. We manifest our own reality too, by the way. And I mean, we may potentially even have an S-Walker in our chat today. And that is actually, I keep seeing, we have my good friend William Nighthawk in here today. He's actually the person who I did consult with when I went on an investigation up in Tennessee to a S-Walker cave at a person's property where they lived, and he advised me on what to do if we were to ever encounter those, because there's supposed to be a bunch of them in there, and so thank you for being here, William. It means a lot to me.
Everything can be switched around. Everybody still has. Everything still has free will and choice, right? And there are such thing as shapeshifters who aren't actually S-Walkers. Like there are difference in that. Like I do know that people that shapeshift or claim to shapeshift who aren't bad, they're good, right? And so, and I will say too, the thing about third density, and I think this is where we get confused. Third density is not the density of wisdom. We're not going to learn everything there is to learn here, because this is the density of choice. And so we always need to have that open mind, always, because we're never going to learn everything in this density. You're more scared of India than Appalachians. I love India. India's great. India's a hoot. I have so many India stories for another day, but I spent a lot of time in India. Yeah. Yin and restorative, that's considered contemporary yoga. So it's more like Americanized yoga, or more, it's not really traditional Indian yoga, but yeah, Vinyasa flow is not, that's more like dance inspired yoga. That's not, yeah. So, Black Eyed Kids scare the crap out of me. Jessica, we did a show on Black Eyed Kids a while ago, didn't we?
We did. I actually brought you on Spaced Out Radio at least over a year ago to talk about the Black Eyed Kids. That was a great show, because I think that there's so many similarities, even with the S-Walkers, you know, in the Black Eyed Kids, potentially in the Black Eyed People. I mean, I've even had my own Black Eyed person show up at my doorstep one night back when I was, you know, living in downtown Atlanta off Ponce, right across from the Claremont Lounge. Okay. Yeah, that's, of course there was a black-eyed person there. Of
course. I was about to say, why wouldn't there be? That sounds totally on brand.
It was. They came out of the portal, which is the Claremont Lounge, probably.
Probably. I mean, there's that whole, what's that? Is it MJQ?
That was one of my other spots I used to hang out at. Absolutely. Underground. It was an underground place.
In a parking lot, you go underground. It's after we did that show on Black Eyed Kids, with Black Eyed Kids, like there's not a whole lot, obviously S-Walkers scare me, but with paranormal stuff there's not a whole lot that really scares me, but Black Eyed Kids do. And after we did that show, on Wednesday mornings I get up at like 2 o'clock in the morning and I go to the yoga shala at like 3 a.m. I have a class at 6:30, but I usually I run in the area, or I just take that time in the morning where there's just me. And I'm used to getting up early. In traditional yoga, we do Brahma Muhurta, which is early morning hours for practice. So anyway, after we did that show though, I was in the yoga shala about to do my practice, and I had to like cover the windows because I like freaked myself out.
Did you get scared that you were being watched?
From doing that show with you, I had to like close all the blinds because I was like doing a practice, and I was like, oh my god, I'm going to see a black-eyed kid just like
Sneaking in. I know. Well, I love curtains and blinds, and I'm a proponent of everyone putting curtains and blinds on your windows because, especially if you live around the Appalachians, you don't know what's looking in your windows. I mean,
No.
I've been in a cabin before. I was out in North Georgia at my buddy's cabin, and some of our team had gone there to spend the weekend, and I guess he had like bunk beds and stuff too, and like one of the females on our team and I were like sharing a room. And this was on a second or third story. I mean, it was like up high. But while we were joking around and laughing, and then something smacked the window, like a hand smacked the window. And this thing, it had to have been, I mean, I can't even tell you how tall this was, right? It wasn't a person, and it was a hand. We heard the hand hit. And so you never know what's watching you. You never know what's watching out there.
That's part of the rules of Appalachian is that you shut your blinds at night. And I will say, so stargazer, sorry, I just made it bigger so I could actually read. I'm getting old. There are a lot of people here in Georgia who will paint the roofs of their porches blue.
Paint blue,
yeah, to keep the spirits out. That's a big thing here. Thanks for pointing that out, because that's a big thing here about, paint blue. You paint the door or the roof of your porch. So if you're ever traveling in the South and you see houses with their roof, the roof of the porch painted blue, and you don't know why they would do that, that's why. It's to keep spirits out. Yeah,
we have a couple of houses down the street that have blue roofs, like a baby blue. It's beautiful. Yeah. My cousin's house has a blue roof on the porch. Yeah.
Listen, I if I had a house, I live in the middle of the city, but if I had a house, I would definitely be painting that roof blue. Trust me. Yeah. Well, in India, actually, if you'll hold on for 1 second, Jessica, I'm going to go grab a mask and show you what they do in India, which is really cool. Hold on.
Okay. Let's take a quick commercial break here. Yeah. Thank you guys, everybody, for being here today. Bryce has a lot to say, y'all, and she's had a lot of experience, especially with the paranormal. And but yeah, so I'm glad you guys are all here. And William Nighthawk, thank you so much for being in here too. I see, yes, not all S-Walkers are evil. Okay. And I've seen your comments in here. I just wanted to acknowledge that. Okay. Bryce has a mask. Are you going to wear it?
No, it's not a mask you wear. We bought this in India, and we have to keep it inside because here in Georgia, people would freak out. So in India, they put these masks up on the outsides of their house to keep bad spirits out.
Oh, wow. That looks crazy. I'd be scared of that too.
So this is from India. I wish we had bought more when we were over there, but we put this in our living room in the front of to keep spirits out, because we can't put it outside because we would probably freak our neighbors out. But yeah, that's what they put in India. So if you're in India and you see a mask like this outside of someone's house, it's not bad. It's to keep. It's kind of like, how the history of Halloween, Jessica, when they would dress up as scary beings. To scare the bad beings back beyond the veil. It's kind of the same concept. So yeah. Now I want to hear your stories, Jessica.
Well, that mask reminds me of booger mask too. Booger mask are like where they make it's like a Bigfoot, basically. Bigfoot booger mask, and you put those out and it keeps the boogers away. Like around Booger Holler up near Rome and stuff, that area.
Oh God, yeah.
Oh yeah. So, yeah, well, I mean, I have some stories too. Now, I have that one where I was camping out about 10 or 12 years ago up in North Carolina, and I was with Chief David and a gentleman named Will, and they're both elders of Cherokee. I have not talked to them in so long. I'm not even sure. I'm not even sure if they're still alive today. I feel horrible for not staying in contact, but we were up there. They took us around to go see all the places where the Bigfoots had been reported around the Cherokee Reservation up there in Cherokee. And we went to Judacola Rock, and we camped out on top of a mountain. Beautiful location where a couple of the guys live. Dick and David live over there. And I guess we were camping one night, and we were just telling stories and swapping information and stories, and I kept watching it as like something black. It was like a black shadow kept circling the camp all night, and it was like a shadow figure, but it kept going around in circles. And I just thought, well, it must be a ghost or something. Chief David had already called in the Skyships Over Cachers with his wand, with his staff, with the crystal on it, and so we had UFOs floating all around us. And they were telling about the Bigfoots that live, the forest people that live at the bottom of the mountain. And so I was kind of expecting maybe some Bigfoot activity. And also they had a vortex. It was sacred land. And there was a place where you can stand in, and it was a vortex, and you could feel the whole earth spinning. Okay.
Wow.
Or it was spun in that area when you stand on that one vortex. And, you know, I guess the night went on, one of those nights, and Will just stood up and he started kind of walking towards me and he started yelling behind me, like at something, like there was something there. And I just assumed it was whatever that black thing that was like circling the camp, because I never said a word about it. I didn't want people to think I was crazy. And I was like, you know, I see stuff. So it's probably just a ghost. That's what I kept thinking. Yeah. And, but no, he started screaming and commanding something. And I didn't know what he was saying, because it was not just like Cherokee. It was like some ancient dialect of Cherokee is what he told me later. And he said that he and only a couple of other people even speak it occasionally. But he said that it was someone that had turned, let's just say, and he had firsthand knowledge of that. And I'm not going to give you more information on that. But he had firsthand information and said that it was trying to come into the camp, and he banished it so it couldn't come into where we were, but he knew it was there. And honestly, like I thought maybe he was just messing with me and messing with us, but that man did not joke. And he was not smiling or laughing at all.
I would have wanted,
and it was very serious.
Pack me up and get me out of here right now. Like,
no. Well, around that time, he packed up with David. They left and left all of us up there to camp out. And I was like, good God, how am I going to sleep tonight? We got Bigfoots, we got vortexes, we got ghosts, we got an S-Walker. What is going on here? Somebody stay up.
As the regular human being, you're actually the freak of nature out there, aren't you? You're the anomaly. You're the oddity.
I fit right in, but the people with me were the anomalies.
People.
Just kidding. Yeah, it was harder to sleep that night than most nights that we were out there, for sure. But that.
Do you think that these S-Walkers are often around areas where there's also Bigfoot too? And if so, do you think there's a reason for that?
I think so. Well, I mean, my team has had an encounter where they went in, you know, we do this remote viewing stuff, right? Yeah. And so there was a time where some of the guys were out in the field. I wasn't there this trip, but they were out in the field and they heard a Bigfoot scream. They heard something scream. And so they went into RV mode, is what we call it, on the spot. And there was a case of, not to get into too much detail, but there was potential of something like a spear finger. Okay. Yeah. A spear finger like entity, let's just say, an entity that could have so she's a shapeshifter.
Yeah.
And it was in the North Georgia mountains. And she was attacking the Bigfoot. And that's why they were screaming. And that's what they were experiencing, is our guys were remote viewing this live. And she had actually placed her baby about 2 valleys, like a valley over or something, like tried to hide her baby because whatever this was going after her child. And so she was trying to be a decoy and to get the witch away from it, the shapeshifter or whatever it was, a shapeshifter. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I was even supposed to talk about that publicly, but anyways, that's something that did happen.
Just amongst all of our friends.
Just, y'all keep it between us.
No, it's on the internet or anything.
Right. Keep it between us. It's just between me and my chat here and you, Brice. But yeah, so there are things like that do happen. And is this in the 3D, or could it be in the 5D as well, or the 4D, or I don't know, some other dimension? Absolutely. I don't know.
What the Cassiopeians call that, and the Cassiopeians are like a side thing from the Law of One. They call that window droppers. So as the veil starts to thin, my boyfriend just corrected me, window fallers. So as the veil starts to thin, so a lot of times these 4D entities, they're so used to not being seen by it, like they walk right past us and we can't see them because they're in a different, but as the veil thins, all of a sudden whoopsie-daisy, they're seen by people, like whoopsie-daisy. Like it's kind of like sometimes they're more shocked than we are, like, you can see me. Like, so, you know, it could be that case of it being like a window faller where all of a sudden it's not. So think about that. Think about how much it sucks for the darkness, because they've been able to like mess with us without us seeing them. And now we can actually see them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you can see the Wizard of Oz. You can see the man behind the curtain, right? As the veil is thinning. So yeah. Well,
here's another thing too. They're remote viewing this. So they are actually not in their bodies either.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
So they might have even more access
It's
to
astral.
Yeah.
Kind of. Right?
Girl,
I know, right?
I've said this with my friend Tamara, who you've met before. I'm always like,
Yes.
we must have been, in order to come back to this earth, we must have been real bored. Like, we must have been so bored that we're like, put us down there.
God. Well, no, you and I signed up for the wild and crazy version of life down here. And here we are. We probably gave each other a high five before we incarnated here. We're like, let's do this.
Well, I still think Mahaley brought us together.
Yeah, I do too. She did. For sure. There's
long before either one of us were even born. So
that's right. I actually have my I found my Mahaley Lancaster VHS tape from 12th grade at my high school that I made with my mass media class. That was my story that I broadcasted all over the high school. And I have it here. I can't watch it because I don't have a VHS player, but I've got it. And I put a lot of work into that thing. We went on site, to do the special report on Mahaley back in high school.
We got to find a VHS and we've got to air that subject.
Yeah. Oh, we'll do it. I'll get it transferred. Somebody in the chat will know. Y'all give me some ideas on how to transfer that over. I can take it to like a drugstore, like Walgreens. I don't know.
Take our old camera footage. Back in the olden days, children gather around the campfire as we tell you a story about how we didn't get to see our pictures for a while after we took them.
Take the Kodak shack in the parking lot.
Right? You did just hope for the best. You took a picture and hoped for the best. So
that's right.
Oh, that's another thing too. When you're out in the Appalachian, if you hear a weird sound, you're not supposed to go. Like sometimes they'll
like
mimic you. Yep.
You get lured away. That's right. It's almost like what coyotes will do. Like they'll send a scout out to trick you. Okay. And pretend like it's got a broken leg or something. And we've had this happen in the pasture at our farm. A coyote will go out and pretending to be like it's, lame, or what do you call it when they're limping?
Yeah.
And so like my dog would like run towards it. Let's just say like a domesticated pet, because they're like, oh, this thing's hurt. Well, then they all jump in and attack. Yeah.
So they'll do that. Even things like you'll hear your name being yelled all of a sudden, don't go towards it. If you hear whistling, the thing is, if you hear the whistling close by, it means they're farther away. But if you hear the whistling far away, it means they're close by. Let's see. Also, is that about the look on our faces?
No, probably talking about maybe when they're doing the remote viewing or something.
Oh yeah,
probably that.
You can't.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm behind on all the comments. I start talking and I can't keep up with them. So I'm back.
Yes, I couldn't. I see this, guys, on my channel. I rarely do lives because I get so ADHD and I just start reading the comment. I commend you, Jessica, for being able to do both at the same time. So
it's an art. There's an art to it, for real.
It is. So it is. And I have to, like, my eyesight's gotten worse as I've gotten older. Obviously, I think that's the same for everyone. So I'm always like getting close to the screen just to read it. Same. Baja Girl 302. Same sister. Like, you're a girl. I can see your picture. Same sister. Jessica and my boyfriend are crazy, I think, for camping. Actually, my boyfriend wants to join her and like go overnight. I'm like, y'all have fun. Y'all have fun.
He is an honorary member of my team. Okay. You are too.
I will stay at the crappy hotel with gum stuck in the lampshade while y'all go out in the woods and hunt.
All right, you can hang out with Ben. I'll bring Ben.
Absolutely.
And Ravi.
Ben and I can order takeout and lay in the bed and watch movies, eating in the bed while you guys go out. I am the same Baja Girl. I am not a huge fan of camping anyway. Like I'm very like OCD, clean wise, and so I don't like sleeping dirty, but I just know I'm a magnet. Like Jessica's more calm about it. I'm a magnet for paranormal stuff, so I always feel bad if like I attract something. So it was Dan. The kids today. I saw the funniest meme. A little off topic. Commercial break. I saw the funniest meme where someone was saying they were at work and they were talking about baby pictures and their colleagues were showing pictures of them as a baby and they asked to see this girl's pictures and she was like, well, I'll have to go home and get some. They're like, what do you mean it's not on your phone? He was like, no, we didn't have that in the 1900s. Thank you very much.
That's right. Yeah. We just had the paper pictures. Yep. Yes. Yep. Yeah. It's still expensive to get pictures developed. Okay.
use the phone now. And they show kids like I don't know, Ben is Ben's Gen Z, or is he
he's like alpha or something. I can't keep up anymore. He's 10, about to be 11.
So my nephew is 12. So my nephew is alpha 2 and he's 12. So they had an alpha kid in a blog from a millennial and an alpha kid and the picture taking from the millennial was this, but the alpha kid was this, the way they did it. So yeah, no, us people from the 1900s.
Right? They were born in the 20th century people.
We're from the 1900s.
I'm definitely Gen X. Okay. And yeah, you can tell.
I cuss.
I'm so tough.
My boyfriend's Gen X, but I cuss. I'm a cusper of I'm what they call a zennial. But yeah, exactly. If you hear something in Appalachia, no, you didn't. If you see something in Appalachia, no, you didn't. That is Alaha. Is that how you say your name? Alaha. That's a pretty name.
Alea. Yeah.
Alea. That is a thank you for bringing that up, because that is absolutely one of the rules of Appalachia. You just don't question it, guys. There are things in Appalachia, like I've learned from the locals up in Clayton, they all believe in Bigfoot. They all believe in it, but they just don't. It's just like, it's there. It just happened.
Yeah. And what about whistling, Brice? What do you think about whistling in the woods?
Whistling in the woods, but I know if you hear it, it's not good. Don't go towards it.
Yeah. Well, I've always been told not to whistle either. I am careful not to whistle in the woods, but I am on a research team, and we don't go out there and command things to like show themselves and all that. We don't do that. But when we went to that S-Walker cave in Tennessee, that team's a little different. Those are young bucks. Okay. All those guys, I'm not saying they're like super way younger than me, but every one of them's younger than me. And they are way adventurous. And I love it because they're super adventurous.
Well, yeah, you're not supposed to whistle in the woods. You're not supposed to respond to whistling in the woods. Like,
no, you're not supposed to whistle in the woods. But we were in a cave, okay, and also Cryptid was Cryptid Warfare is Drew's podcast with Zook and them, but it's CW operations and survival. Okay, that's who I was with, and we just like to go out there and have fun and go investigate real monsters out there. And so they were back in the cave, and Drew decided to whistle. And in the very back of the cave, I was standing guard at the front because I didn't want to go back that far. It was too much. And so when he whistled, something, it looked like a pale crawler, stuck its head out from behind a rock back farther in the cave, and they got it on a video. And so they pretty much left after that. But I'm just saying, there's if you whistle, they will come. I'm just saying.
If you build it, they will come. If you whistle, we need to get our friend Derek and go over to we need to have this summer to the Bell
and the LBL too, Land Between the Lakes.
We need to get a camera crew and just go out there and because it's all
Yeah, we do. Well, okay, so Derek actually is the 5th great grandson of John Bell from the Bell Witch Cave. Yeah,
if you guys haven't heard that story. That's a wild story.
He's been on the channel before. Actually, we've had you and me and him did a show.
Yeah. So we've got these two, and as the Cassiopeians say, you do carry that's inherited karma. You carry the secrets of your ancestors in your DNA. So Yeah. Oh, hi, Lauren. Sorry, guys. I have a really hard time seeing the screen. So Lauren, Georgia.
She's from Georgia too. And Space Cow, how do you know I've been going through fences? You must have been looking through my pictures. Yes, I might have snuck through a fence or two, a hole in the fence.
I will say, my friend Alicia,
I plead the 5th
right now. She might be at work right now, but she was down in Atlanta this weekend and came to take one of my classes. And where is it? We actually went to go see, because I teach right beside. I don't know if you guys can see that. I teach right beside Jean Benet's.
Jean Benet Ramsey?
Yeah, I teach right beside it. I run through that cemetery a lot in the morning. And as you can see, they have their stuff on her. Like we were saying, in the South, people put their pennies and stuff. And I walked her after class. I walked her over to the cemetery. So, this is a cool thing to show you. Like, this is a very famous grave. And I thought we found one entrance open, but I was about to break into it. I was about to hop that fence because all of them were locked up. And I was like, I did not come this far my student didn't come this far to only come this far. We're not going to stand outside the cemetery. We're going to hop the fence. But that cemetery is fascinating too, where Jean Benet is buried in Marietta, Georgia. It's there's a lot of, that's one of the most haunted cemeteries in Georgia. There's like a wailing woman there. It's right beside the high school there. So
really
fascinating one too, if you guys ever want to.
Oh, well,
in that direction.
Yeah, I wanted to address this comment here. Chicky Blue says Appalachia may be full of portals. Well, 2 portals I know for sure. My team, my two different teams have encountered 2 portals. One of them is on a video. Both Appalachia. Okay, both in the Appalachians. So yes, and there's plenty more. There's plenty more, and I think that could be where some of these missing people are going too, with these missing persons clusters, Brice.
I believe it. I totally believe it. I mean, there are places. Appalachia is so vast.
Speakers whistle at women.
I would get smacked too. That's just rude. If you whistle in the house, my mom used to thump us on the head. If we did anything that was rude, or if we had bad grammar, we would get thumped on the head by my mom.
Oh no, you got smacked.
That's not in vogue to do nowadays, is it? But
no, it's not. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm always a couple minutes behind on the comments, but Lauren says, I have a friend that cannot stand whistling. If you do, she'll ask you to stop. Some people whistle when they talk. Okay, you just can't help it. Too. Yeah. So, oh man, that would suck. But yeah, it's not a good idea to whistle, and even to be out at night. Don't ever go out in the Appalachians by yourself. Okay, that's a big one, and that's why I worry about your boyfriend, Brice.
I do too. Thank you. Maybe you can talk some sense into
I've talked to him. I've told him that. I'm pretty sure.
Out there and camp by himself. He won't bring our dog, which I'm glad, because I probably wouldn't let him bring our dog. So, yeah. Because I heard it. If you build it, they will come. But that damn Mandela effect.
Yeah. Stargazer says, is the Blair Witch based on the Bell Witch? I don't think so. I think it's 2 different things, right?
The Blair Witch Bell Witch is Tennessee. Blair Witch is up north, and it's like Molly Dreyer or something was the story behind the Blair Witch. Blair Witch is a fake, obviously it's fake. They did base it off of an actual story, and that's way up north. And Bell Witch is very different. That's an incredibly. I covered it over on Gnostic TV, and I think you actually did remote viewing on it, didn't you?
I did. I have a whole show on my remote viewing playlist of the Bell Witch.
Yeah.
That whole it was the haunting. It was actually in that date. It was a blind target, and I just got pure cursed land, cursed this and that. It was just a dark. It's like an entity that was summoned, or that's what the data said. It was like an entity had been summoned or conjured, and it was from a curse. Okay. And so, go back and watch. That was that's Cliff's Notes version right there, but there's a whole show to it.
And I have a full, so if you guys go to Gnostic TV, I think it's free. You can watch the whole deep dive. I did a deep dive. That's how we met Derek. He contacted me after that. I did a whole deep dive into the story of the Bell Witch. So the Bell Witch is based on an actual story, whereas Blair Witch is more of a creative expression of a legend, right? So cool, thanks.
Oops. I know, thank you. Let me go back. Bing Bing Peony, thank you so much. That was very sweet. It says, yay, what a treat to catch this live with 2 of my favorite ladies on the YouTubes, on the
internets. Thank you so much. I know, I can't wait for your Bigfoot festival. I'm gonna come film it again.
Oh yeah, thank you for taking those pictures. You know what, my son makes a pretty good photographer too, but I gotta say, you're the best photographer.
You know what, can I say that? So my boyfriend went to art school, and he always compliments my photography skills. He always says
you're really good.
Yeah, so
it meant a lot to me. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Well, Jean Benet, I'll answer that question. She was unalived in Colorado, but her family's from Georgia. So they're from Georgia. That's why she's buried in Marietta, which is a suburb of Atlanta. Her mother, Patsy, is buried right beside her, and her sister is also buried beside her. So they're all in that cemetery. So I know that's confusing, but I think the father had been transferred to Colorado for work.
I think he worked at Lockheed Martin, actually. He was an executive at Lockheed Martin, which they have all the skunk works. Yeah. Okay, all that.
That's based out of Marietta, too, the main court. So they're from Georgia. Georgia is where they're from, so that's where she was buried. So, Dahlonega, that's a deep Appalachian.
Lots of Bigfoots up there, just saying. Up near, that's like near Helen, I think, right? And yeah, and that's where actually there's also those Mayan ruins are up there near
Yes, we
Dahlonega
need to
too,
go.
right?
Well, it's the Moonite people. The Moonite
Yeah.
people ruins, which if you guys haven't heard the Moonite people, I covered them on Gnostic as well.
Yeah.
Like, that's going to blow your mind. Like, the Native Americans were not the first people here, and they were trying to tell people that. Like, we weren't the first nation here. There were people here before us that we conquered. So,
Yeah.
so
I did a show on it too. I think I did a remote viewing actually.
yeah.
So you had to go check out the remote viewing playlist. I got some zingers on there, man. I got some good targets over the years.
So horribly lied to about everything, y'all. Like,
we have.
It's kind of funny at this point. Like,
yes.
I also someone like if you told me 10 years ago that I would be questioning what our Earth looked like, I would have thought you were crazy, but now I don't even know what our Earth even looks like anymore. So
I know, right? I mean, I'm still not a flat earther yet, but I've had some really good conversations with one of the heads of the flat Earth people. I'm just what I call him, Mark Sargent. Man, he's great. If you ever want to listen to a really good conversation, I mean, just go on his channel if you're curious about flat Earth. That's all. He and I had a fantastic conversation. I don't know if they've posted it yet. But yeah, I don't know anymore. I'm like, I think we live in a simulation.
Cassiopeians say it's not flat and it's not round. I don't know what that means. It's neither. So
yeah. So is it an egg or is it just like a lump? The Earth is a lump. It's a hot dog.
Wouldn't that be funny? Wouldn't that be funny? I try not to think about it too much because, like, what am I actually on? What are we actually riding?
Flying through the galaxy on a hot dog shaped planet.
Could you imagine?
Yeah,
that would be funny.
I think it'd be great. I mean, we do create our own reality. So in my reality, I live on a hot dog.
I live on a hot dog. Where do you live?
I know. Oh my gosh, Space Cow says I love ruins. Yes, and we, you know, we do need. I would love to take a tour. Brice, you and I should do like a southeastern United States tour.
I would love that.
We should do.
I would love that. That would be because it's better to go on tours with people from the area.
Yes, we should do that. Just even in Georgia. I mean, all the burial mounds that we could go to. I know where the Dogman sightings are and the Bigfoots. We could do that. I know that's not always your cup of tea, but it's the same place where the mounds and things are and the ruins. Okay,
and the mounds, guys, the mounds, the Indian mounds, we were taught growing up that's where they buried their dead, the Native Americans. But now we're learning that's not the case. Those are freaking giants in there, you know, which is crazy. Oh, yeah. Antarctica, I think that I don't know. Antarctica, that's a scary. Yeah, I don't know. The Cassiopeians are like, it's not flat, it's not round, so it could be any.
Yeah, we don't know what it is. We don't. It is what you want it to be. How about that? I still think it's a globe. Yeah, I do. But I'm not going to argue with people about it because you will never win that argument because people will argue with you until they are no more on this earth.
What's it? Eckhart Tolle used to say, do you want to be right or do you want peace? I have to remember that sometimes. Do I want to be right or do I want peace? Yeah. So yeah.
Yes. Oh, you know what? Well, that's a great comment. Let me go back to this. Geryl's in the chat. What's up, Geryl with Midwest Night Watchers? He says history books before 1910 tell of Native Americans finding existing structures and tools that were repurposed. 100%.
They were not the first people here. They're not the First Nations. They conquered whoever was here first. So it's
wild, right?
As Americans, they try to make us feel guilty about that, but the whole freaking planet has been every land has been conquered by other lands. If we want to get technical about it, 1066, England was conquered by France. So if you are English and you have blonde hair and blue eyes, you actually originate from France. A typical English person, genetically speaking, is dark hair, dark eyes. So we can't go back to this like this is our land and that's our land. Every single person on this planet has conquered from other people, you know. So
yeah. Chicky Blue says, what about the S-walkers at the ice wall? Well, I believe the ice wall is real. I do, but that doesn't necessarily mean the earth is flat.
No, it doesn't at all. Well, like hollow earth. Like I do believe that we have a hollow, like there are beings underneath us. But that can work on both a round and a flat earth. So it doesn't. Yeah. Yeah.
Moondog said we're becoming the Powerpuff Girls. We're gonna get on a mission to go take a tour. We need one more. Who's with us?
love that. I love that.
Who's with us? Oh, Angie.
Yeah, she's moved to South Carolina. She's not in Georgia anymore.
I know she talks to us in the chats quite often. Miss Angie Tillman. Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I actually am not watching the chat because I get distracted. So I love the chat. So.
Oh my gosh, I know. We have so much fun over here. I have the best chat on the internet. I really do for all these live shows. It is amazing. It's awesome. We're just having a good time. And Moondog does says the Tartarian Empire was here, I believe.
Oh, absolutely. You go to Piedmont Park here in Atlanta, where I live right beside Piedmont Park, and there's all sorts of old structures. Actually, my boyfriend's gotten into that too, and he'll go to Piedmont Park and look at some of the old, like what they call ruins in Piedmont Park. It's Tartarian. Absolutely, it is. Absolutely. So, and I will say to you guys, can I speak on your behalf, Jessica, to make sure you like and share this video of Jessica's, you guys? Because here's the thing I'm going to say. I deal with this a lot on my channel. When we talk about these types of truths, we get severely shadow banned sometimes for talking about such things that the establishment wants to say is nonsense, but obviously we get shadow banned. So make sure you're liking and sharing this video for Jessica so her channel gets out there and into
thank you.
Algorithms. Oh
my God, Brice, thank you so much. That is very sweet. Yes, please do. I am always guaranteed a Wikipedia fact check down there below my video. Whenever I talk about certain things that start with an R that are scaly and green. Yeah, so it's just so weird. It's very selective. Now maybe they're what is it, like untightening the leash so much now? I don't know. I'm still getting them.
I don't think we're getting struck as much as we used to, but I still think we're being shadow banned because I'm still struggling with it on my channel. So I'll go dark for a few days just to kind of let it rebalance itself. But
I think we have a volunteer here, Cryptid Christie out of Mississippi. I would love to go. All right. We're gonna take applications. Who wants to be?
I think who
wants to be part of the Powerpuff crew?
We can create a tour group, a tour like business, like where we actually have a business, like my big fat Greek, whatever, where she comes to, I mean, now that it looks like we might be losing some taxes. So we'll create all the businesses we want now. So
yes. Oh my gosh. Oh man. Yeah. Well, I think that would be really fun. And you and we do meet up. We do take, little hikes and stuff. And we've had a really good time. I wanted to show, I think I've got one more picture we can show of, remember when my son was getting really tired and at the end of that trip, and he found an arrow in the woods and he laid there. And if you zoom in, it looks like he has an arrow to his heart, but really it's under his armpit. But he wanted us to think that he had been shot.
As a little kid, like when he was 9 at the time, as a little kid, that's a lot of walking to do. And
it was a lot.
It was a lot for me in my 40s. So
even the little kids get tired. Hey, I felt like I felt pretty good about myself because I was like, man, I got more energy than my 9-year-old. Yes. Which is bad. So I don't know. But anyways, man. Well, Brice, thank you so much for being here today. This has been so much. This has been a fun show.
Yeah, she's gonna come on my channel soon too. If you go to there's episodes. If you go to my channel and put in Jessica Jones, you'll find episodes with her I've done, and you're gonna come and talk to my channel about Robot Grandma soon, right?
Yes. Oh yeah, I'm gonna come talk about Robot Grandma. Now that was a target that was given to me by my good friend Arkeem Ra and his fiance Kat, and that's a true story out of Mount Shasta. I think is where they were.
Yeah, that's a crazy. We're gonna schedule that, guys. Now, I don't do lives like Jessica does because I get too distracted. So I film and then edit it. So
that's Robot Grandma from my show. I have pins made.
Okay, this is gonna sound so bad, but we have a homeless problem here in Atlanta. I think a lot of people have. So I keep going to the car wash and I get scared off by the homeless people. But I still have your bumper sticker to put on my car once it's clean, once I actually get it washed.
Yay. I have bumpers. My Patreon members have gotten every month. It's kind of different. And by the way, if you are one of my VIP Patreon members and you have not sent me your mailing address, please do that. Because I've got gifts that are piling up for people that I still don't have their mailing addresses. So that's one of them right there. The Cryptid Huntress bumper sticker with a dog man on it.
As soon as I go get my car down washed, before they clean everything up and I don't get accosted. Don't get me wrong, I feel very bad for people who are homeless, but it's gotten really bad. Yeah. So as soon as I can, I was gonna stick it on without going to the car wash, and my boyfriend was like, "Don't put it on until you get it washed." So then I will have it on And I have on my backpack, it's not with me, I have your pins on my backpack.
Like robot grandma.
I think it says the Cryptid Huntress, and I have more pins here. So you guys help Jessica out. Oh yeah, I know.
That's so sweet.
I have your Karen.
My Bigfoot Karen. That's another one.
Your Bigfoot Karen. I love the hairset. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. I love it. Yeah, you also get pins. Yeah, these are for Patreon members too, y'all. So so if you become a member every month, you get a little something if you're a VIP member. Okay, VIP members. Yeah. So thank you. You're a great advertiser for my Patreon.
Help y'all, people in the chat, like we're all the same team, right? Like we're all trying to bust through this matrix. We all got to help each other. We all got to help each other out. So make sure you guys share her channel, like it. The more you like it, even if you comment, and if you're watching the replay clip through, just put your I tell my audience all the time, Jessica, put your country flag or something, like just in the comments, so that her video gets put out there in the algorithm.
Because we've got people from all over the world watching. Yes. We are worldwide, Brice. Your channel is too, and it's such a blessing.
Yeah, absolutely. We're all just a bunch of weirdos.
Yeah, yes, Brice, we're the top weirdos. I'm just kidding. We're pretty big weirdos.
But a weirdo. So
yes, we're super weirdos, but weirdos unite. And I think that's what William Nighthawk says over on his channel. It's like the what is it? The Weirdo Warriors, I think, is what he calls it.
I love that. That needs to be a t-shirt. He needs to make that a t-shirt.
Yes, for sure. I think he has coffee mugs and stuff. So yeah. But this is amazing. Brice, tell everybody where they can find you and about your YouTube channel and your Rumble and whatever you got going on.
So Esoteric Atlanta is my YouTube and my Rumble channel. I'm very shadow banned. So obviously I'm doing something right if I'm not shadow banned, but I have I research weird stuff just like Jessica, but I also dive into like history. I haven't done any deep dives really since October because it's been crazy, but I do have I work with a lady named Tamara who Jessica has met over in Australia. We do weekly shows as well. She's an astrologist, and we it's great audience, awesome audience. We share a lot of audience members, and so I cover weird stuff. We again, deep dives. Also right now I'm doing the Esoteric Academy, which is I've started with my friend Paula down in Australia. It's like a mystery school online. It's a virtual mystery school. So a lot of my teaching, I'm the only woman in the state of Georgia to be authorized by a particular school over in India, one of the hardest yoga schools to get into. And so I've taken everything and I've put it online to the Esoteric Academy. And right now, Jessica, we've got, for if your audience is interested in that, we have our grand opening is February 20th. But right now, before the grand opening, you can secure your tuition, your monthly tuition for like $25 a month, which is like the price of a drop-in. You got thousands of dollars worth of courses on the Bhagavad Gita, everything. And after the 20th, it goes up to $40 a month. But if you secure it now, you're locked in at $25 a month. So if you're interested in that, that's over on my channel. And yeah, so we have fun. We have fun. We work hard and we have fun, and that's all that matters, right?
That's right. And we are boots on the ground when it comes to the weirdness and the high strangeness all over Georgia, especially. But thank you, Larry Sharp. What's up, Larry? Larry's so sweet. He says happy Monday and prayers to everybody.
I saw that y'all too. I love
y'all.
That.
He's in Alabama. Oh, yes, great. I know. Larry is one of two of my friends. And yes, Larry, you're my friend. That called into Coast to Coast AM with George when I was on George Norrie's show, and he called in. I didn't know it was Larry when he called in, though. I didn't know at first. I thought it was him, and he was one of the call-ins that night. So thank you, Larry, for all your support. You're the best, and I hope Larry can get out and meet us at a conference or go bigfooting with us sometime.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you for that super sticker.
Alabama, you're close by.
Yes.
Over to Georgia.
Yes, for sure. Oh my God. Urso's right too. Urso, I do need to get patches. I see people in the chat saying I need to get some patches made and stuff.
You should.
And I do. I need to get some more stickers made. I need to get all sorts of stuff made. I need t-shirts. I have not done any of that. So it's on the agenda. I'm just I know. We'll figure it out. But patches are coming up next. So Brice, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Y'all, please go over to Esoteric Atlanta and subscribe if you hadn't already. My moderators have been putting it in the chat all day. Yeah, they've been putting your links in the chat the whole show. So Yeah, so wonderful. Okay, well, Brice, I'm going to be seeing you soon. Hopefully at the Georgia Bigfoot Conference next year. Not next year, next month.
Yeah, and you're
Next
on my
month.
channel soon too, guys. So make sure we'll set a
Yes.
date for that. Once I have the date set, I'll put it up on the community tab so we can talk about some weird grandma over in
Some
America.
weird grandma.
Weird
It was a
grandma.
robot. It was a robot grandma, actually. It's a robot grandma. And yes, the story behind it is weird. Okay,
Yeah.
and so we'll get into that on your channel. Okay. Well, everybody have a wonderful day. Thank y'all so much for being here. And again, Larry, thank you for that super sticker. Oh my gosh, I miss Maureen's. Maureen, I'm so sorry.
Aww.
This must have been when I was talking. She says, awesome
Yes.
show today. Great to see Brice again. Thank you so much.
Too. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's so sweet. That was
So sweet.
I'm sorry I missed that earlier, Maureen. Y'all, when I get to talking, I get to missing comments.
It's hard when the chat's going fast, guys. It's so hard. Sometimes that's why I don't do a lot of lives, because it's so hard.
That's why I always go back just to make sure I didn't miss anybody. And so I'm glad I did that today. Thank you. This is from Maureen and Gus. Gus is my furry moderator. He's a French bulldog.
Oh, I love it.
Yes.
We love our four-legged furry friends. So
we do. I have a little statue of him right back here. Okay.
Oh.
He's my little figurine of Gus is right there. He's always watching over my shoulder. Okay. So thank you, Maureen and Gus. And thank you, Larry, as well. And thank you to all my moderators for being here today. And for everybody who was commenting in the chat. And if you're not commenting in the chat, y'all don't be scared to comment in the chat, y'all. We have a very welcoming crowd. Yeah, very nice. We're good people. We don't bite. We don't bite. So everybody, y'all have a wonderful day, and please stay safe out there. We live in really strange, wild, crazy times right now. So don't live in fear, but keep your head on a swivel. Pack the heat if you need to. I do. Okay. Right, Brice? And but take care of yourselves, everybody, and come back and see me on Wednesday. I'll be back on a glitch in the matrix where hopefully we don't have any more glitches. All right. Okay, y'all. Well, have a wonderful day. Like I said, stay safe. If I can find my button, we're out of here today. I'm on a whole new computer today. Hold on. It's going to take me a second.
We'll just sit here all day, just trying to...
Hold on. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. Brice. All right, y'all. I'll see you on Wednesday. Bye, y'all.
Bye, guys.